So here it is, the best game that you'll play this holiday season.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Yeah, buddy, I was, yeah. So here is game 3 of our series, and no doubt you've got your tree in your living room and you've decorated it, made it look more flamboyant than a Brighton-based Liberace museum. Nothing surprises me more than a video game based on a comedy movie. I mean, they don't seem like a natural fit, do they? Perhaps more than a romantic drama, yes, but how do you translate comedic set pieces over to a video game? It's certainly easier to base a video game on a kids, action or horror film, that's for sure. What's more surprising than a computer game based on a comedy film? Well, I will tell you. A video game based on a Christmas comedy movie. Now that's got a very narrow appeal, hasn't it? Fans of a comedy film might pick up a game adaptation, yes, but people aren't going to be picking up a comedy Christmas movie game in June, are they? Well, they might if that game is exceptional. Is Elf exceptional? Yes, it is exceptionally bad. But before we get to that, 2003's Elf tells the story of Buddy, who's stowed away in Santa's sack as a wee bairn. Raised by the big man's helper elves, Buddy is educated in the ways of jolliness and Christmas cheer, but not in common sense and worldly wisdom. He could do with a spell in that school of hard knocks and the University of Life that has sculpted many a social media working class scholar. One day, Buddy finds out his biological father has got himself a spot on the naughty list, and so Buddy travels to New York to give him a jolt of festive positivity. There follows a humorous fish out of water tale directed by Mandalorian and Iron Man helmer Jon Favreau. Elf proved to be an A-lister breakthrough role for Will Ferrell, who to me always looks like he's been 42 since his first appearance and not aged since. Also starring James Caan, Peter Dinklage, Zooey Deschanel, Bob Newhart and Ed Asner, Elf made a stonking $220 million from a $33 million budget on its initial release, and has continued to be a festive favourite ever since. Critics liked it too, as it has a freshness score of 86% based on 202 reviews on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. Perhaps then I shouldn't be surprised that it had a game, given its popularity. And that game was released by Crave Entertainment to tie in with the movie's DVD release the following year, that being 2004. Crave released the Napoleon Dynamite game that I covered last year, another comedy movie licence, funnily enough, and a game that should make us all feel very nervous about what is coming. It wasn't brilliant, far from it. This is similar to that. Even more disconcerting is the development team, a team called Jollyford Management Limited. This was their only game. Maybe they might knock it out of the park at their first attempt? Maybe no. The game starts off exactly how you'd expect, a series of platform levels teeming with collectibles. Naturally, you'll be controlling Buddy, who is presented in perfectly serviceable digitised fashion here. He would not look out of place on the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat, apart from being a jolly man-sized elf with no violent tendencies. Buddy's moves in this? Buddy can jump. Not on bad guys, but he can jump. That's it. There's nothing too offensive about the platform stages, I suppose. They're just very plain. There's no complex routes, hidden caves or anything. It's straight left to right missionary platformer action, collecting things as you go. Scattered about the place are some rather ropey-looking polar bears in the first few levels with zero intelligence, walking hither and dither, just waiting for Will Ferrell to land in their mouths. There is no animation for Buddy getting gored by the ursine frost dwellers. He just sort of falls forward a bit. Then the screen scrolls back to the last checkpoint, and that happens every time you land on a snarler's back, or you get hit by a falling icicle, or Buddy falls into a pit trap, with a little bit of depletion on your energy bar, and then away you go again. It feels a bit weird, to be honest. In one of the levels, you have to spell the word New York. That's where he goes. To
New York City.
If you miss any of the key items, such as those letters, you'll have to backtrack. Ick. Yeah, not good. Each of these levels are short, easy and underwhelming. The platform levels form the basis of the early part of the proceedings, but they do come back for a brief dalliance in the later portion of the game. These decidedly uninspiring levels also compromise the best this game has to offer. Yeah. The first indication that this game is not just bland but downright atrocious comes here in the ice float section. Good lord. Buddy must traverse downwards collecting the same sort of confectionery as the platform stages. You leap from ice shelf to ice shelf, avoiding those bears and the waters of the Arctic. Here's the rub. The combination of Buddy's size, the size of the smaller platforms, the twitchy controls and the collision detection of the edge of the platforms makes this a horrendous experience to play. You'll be hitting the water a lot in an infuriating manner that will put you in the sort of mood only a Christmas dinner argument can usually cause. The whole thing is just so very badly designed. Here is a good case in point. We're all familiar with moving platforms in games. Look how long this one takes to come back to you should you miss it, as you wait patiently with this pacing bear. Entire ice ages are shorter. To make matters worse, this level is probably the longest in the game. It's a war of attrition, but I powered on through it, eager to see horrors that even the sight of Krampus's shriveled ball bag can't compete with. You'll be continuing downwards in the next distinctly different level as Buddy makes his way downhill at pace. This plays pretty much as you would expect from looking at it. It is a little Horace Goes Skiing. Weirdly enough, there follows the other part of Horace Goes Skiing, crossing the road. Buddy has to collect Christmas lights that are positioned randomly on either side of the street. The New York traffic is treacherous stuff, and as Buddy isn't accustomed to the highway code as David Prowse's tour never made it beyond Svalbard, he runs in front of cars with little care of his own safety. You have a stamina bar in this level, which when charged helps you peg it out of danger. When on the bottom side of the street, you'll be able to see the Christmas lights on the other side. But the same thing isn't true on the opposite curb. And if you miss a light at the start of the level, you're going to have a long run back to go and get it. That would be annoying, but that's compounded by the fact that in this level, and only this level, Buddy's health depletes. Why? I guess to give it some sort of challenge. It feels like this was a decision not planned before it was designed, but added after. You can replenish this by rotating in a shop's revolving door, though even this power-up is fraught with danger as you have to be quick to peg it, as the doorman will be annoyed at such carefree tomfoolery. He will give chase to you, so you need to outpace him and cross the road. I had no idea that this doorman would take umbrage on my first play, and so instantly lost the health I'd just recovered. Ropey game design at its best. The next distinct level we get sees Buddy indulging in low-level white-collar work as he goes to work in a mail room. The first part of this sees our erstwhile elf employee using the company's mail chute system. You have to rotate pipe so the correct coloured package goes to the right coloured end tube. To an expert pipe mania player like myself, it gave me no problems whatsoever. However, I'm also as thick as a Boxing Day turd, so I can't see this giving anyone any issues at all. You'll then receive notification that Buddy has been promoted to mail distributor. He has to deliver the Christmas presents to the relevant floors via an elevator, or if you prefer, a lift for the benefit of my countrymen. This is done by an extremely simple number memory game of 3 buttons. Crikey, that must be a big building to have that many floors. Once you've done that, back to the mailroom and the mail chute. Did Buddy get demoted? To be fair, to be left on my own playing with mail pipe seems to be a better job role. Who wants to see people? Ugh. It's a little more complicated this time, but again, nothing to worry about. Getting through that, and Buddy is re-promoted, and this time he needs to remember 4 numbers. 4 numbers, Jeremy, that's insane. How big is this building? And then on to the what? The mailroom again? The game, as you might have guessed, is now using a level of padding that even the skinniest mall Santa will balk at. So, you know what follows. You're back on present delivery again, and now you're delivering to floors numbering in the tens of thousands. In case you're wondering, as I did, the current tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, it has 163 floors. This building has tens of thousands of floors. Finally, we're out of the drudgery of normal working life as we challenge the visiting elves to a snowball fight, and subsequently the game's next nadir. You have to take out 50 elves with a frosty round without being struck yourself and without hitting poor old Santa, who doesn't want to indulge in this kind of chicanery. You can move left and right using the top triggers and move your cursor using the joypad. It is, quite simply put, a broken. It is either as easy as putting on a paper cracker crown or as impossible as buying for your dad, depending on how the game decides it's going to present your opponents. Sometimes it just doesn't give you enough elves within the 2-minute time limit to actually finish the level. Yes, Santa appears to be cloned at times. Sometimes the shots miss, particularly at the edge of the screen, even though you got them dead on. It's shoddy stuff. Should you be lucky to get an easy passage in the snowball fight level, you'll be back on present delivering duties, this time in a suburban street on Christmas Eve, distributing presents by matching the right combination of ribbon and wrapping paper with the appropriate house. It's very straightforward stuff, reminiscent of a budget 8-bit computer game's minigame. Almost certainly a game written on the side of a fag packet. And so our final level, and the worst level. In fact, the absolute worst experience in the Game Boy Advance's entire library. Santa is in his sleigh in Central Park and has to collect 20 bells before the local horsebound park keeper can catch up with him. You have to hold B to float upwards. That's literally it. That's all you do. Only, it is worse than that. It is difficult because the stamina bar is back and you'll need that to boost upwards. If you don't have any stamina, you cannot boost upwards. The only way you can get that energy back is to collect the bells. Because you can't see the highest bells, you have to guess where they are, which is difficult when you get to the last 2 or 3, even though the map loops round should you miss some. So if you get to 19 bells and you've used all your boost up, you'll complete the upper Christmas Creek without a paddle. I hate this. I absolutely hate this. This is the worst experience I've ever had in any game. Every part of it, from the conceit to the execution, it's anti-fun. You'll muddle through it, no doubt. I have no doubt you will. I certainly did. But it is truly diabolical to play. And that sums up the game as a whole, to be honest. The peaks of the experience are perfunctory, yet still pretty crap platform slop. And the troughs are, well, the rest of the game. And I've not even mentioned the music, which is as uniquely tuneless as a Best of Lab Baby Christmas album. Critic reviews were equally as dismissive of Elf, the movie, the game. Christ, even the title. It garnered a 1 out of 10 on mygamer.com in November 2004. They said, as damning as it may seem, Elf, the movie, is probably the worst game to appear on the Game Boy Advance, or any system for that matter. In fact, even though perhaps geared for children, this title cannot be viewed as a video game, because it is so awful. Nintendo Power in January 2005 said, The extremely simple gameplay will appeal to young fans of the film, but will not test more seasoned action gamers. They gave, well, whatever that score is. It's more than it deserves, though. So there you have it. I'm now feeling extremely grumpy after this experience. I have no Christmas spirit left. Can my soul be saved before Christmas Day? Oh, just like A Christmas Carol, which is what we're going to be playing next. Isn't that strange? Like, subscribe, and Kay, thanks, bye.